Well, the second half of the season is here, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are undefeated. Dalton, if you don't mind, we're lighting up the cactus light. We got more on the Diamondbacks' big win tonight over the St. Louis Cardinals, and we got our guy Dalton Feely from Jomboy here in studio to talk about all of his feelings on the Diamondbacks being the subject of trade deadline talk. We're doing this all in 30 seconds. Don't you go anywhere. Welcome into another edition of the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Eric Montiel, occasionally known as your mayor of this joint. Back from my vacation and thrilled to be talking about baseball. Of course, this show is brought to you by our friends at Bet365 and Game Time. Go use our code of PHNX365 when you sign up over there. Get yourself $150 in bonus bets for following a few easy steps. And over at Game Time, get yourself some tickets to any event that you want to go to, especially those last-minute events. And use our code of PHNX to save $20 off your first order. We are live in studio. When I say we, I got my guy Dalton Feely here, bringing the good vibes back to Arizona in person. We got Damon Dog on the ones and twos, and we are here talking about a thrilling Diamondbacks win here in purple. They did it. They finally won in their Serpientes jerseys, which doesn't seem to happen often around here. Diamondbacks win this one by a score of 7-3. And Dalton, I know things aren't great. I know that we are in a must-win kind of scenario for the Diamondbacks. Not to say every game is a must-win, but especially over this 12-game stretch leading into the end of July, it feels like they have to win a lot of these games, and at least they get things started off on the right foot.
It's a daunting task. We do not want the Diamondbacks to sell. We would love to see them have their aspirations and get into the playoffs for 2025. But that said, good way to start the second half of the year. Brandon Pfaadt comes out and shoves. They win in their new City Connects to purple, which I have to grab myself one of these. I got the throwbacks on, which is still fire. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you need an upgrade for sure.
And I will. Oh, don't worry. I'll be hitting the team store shortly. That's why I'm here.
It's harder in person too, because when you get here in person, you have to be around the city. You can't avoid it. There's just people sitting to the left and right of you and all that purple, and it looks great. But yeah, I mean, again, a big night for Brandon Pfaadt. He was excellent tonight for this team, giving them once again another outing of 7 innings plus. Shutout baseball tonight for Brandon Pfaadt. And I mean, overall, just something that the Diamondbacks needed, which was a lengthy start from a starting pitcher that gives the bullpen a little bit of rest. Things weren't easy once the bullpen came into this game. Immediately made it a much closer game than it needed to be. But the Diamondbacks do improve to 48-50 now, and they just are 2 games under 500.
Yeah, Brandon Pfaadt shoving 7 shutty. That's his second consecutive very good start.
Yeah.
He has that start in San Diego too, where he goes a career high 8 innings.
Yeah.
This gives reminiscent vibes to Brandon Pfaadt in the beginning of 2025, where he was consistently going 6+ innings, quality start, quality Brandon. And obviously, there had been like an 8-stretch start where Brandon Pfaadt was getting shelled, and it had been a problem for him. But bright side, we've seen him now throw consecutive starts, be very, 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 very good for Diamondbacks pitching staff that needs length to avoid the bullpen as possible. I don't want to jinx it, but fingers crossed. Is he back a little bit? Because anytime a starter has 2 consecutive really good outings, just like Brandon Pfaadt has done, optimism's back a little bit.
Yeah.
We've seen flashes in it in 24, and then obviously in the playoffs in 23. We saw it earlier this season, Derek. So I'm kind of hoping, hey, if he starts pitching well again, that's a huge pickup for that rotation.
Here's the thing is that I feel like that's been the story of the season for so many components to the Diamondbacks as a team, right? You offensively, they've been pretty consistent throughout the year. We know we've seen some clunkers, but I think they've been shut out 3 times this year. So the offense really hasn't been the problem. Still in the top 5 in OPS and a lot of statistical offensive categories, but it's been the pitching, and it goes for the bullpen too, where they will put together 2 good games. They'll put together 3 good games. We'll sit there and look at the bullpen like, oh, the last 5 games, the bullpen's only allowed 1 earned run and 11 innings pitched. And then it just all falls apart again.
Oh, yeah.
And it feels like that's the case with the starters too. Brandon Pfaadt, easily the most consistent starting pitcher early on, but then he had his struggles, as did every starting pitcher in the Diamondbacks, starting rotation. And that just seems to be what it is. Like, Gallen will put together 2 good starts. You're like, hey, is he back? And then all of a sudden a clunker, and I mean, Eduardo Rodriguez returns from injury. Wow, 3 good starts, 4 good starts in a row, but then puts up some horrible starts, right?
Yeah.
Brandon Pfaadt, there was reason for concern, I feel like, during a portion of the season because, his ERA ballooned. He had that yes hitter that we call it, where he didn't allow.
We'll never forget that game.
Never forget that game, right? And I mean, that's a big reason why his ERA sits at 5+ right now. But
I think
tonight and in San Diego, it was about efficiency for Brandon Pfaadt. It was about those long starts, like you said, 8 innings against San Diego, 7 innings tonight. And he was just getting a lot of soft contact, like not necessarily everything like soft dribblers or soft ground balls, but just not a lot of hard hit balls. I mean, tonight he had 7 batted balls that were hard hit over 95 miles per hour, and only 2 of them were for hits. The other ones were line outs and fly outs and stuff. But it was pretty impressive as to what he was able to do, kind of pitching to contact and not shying away from the zone, but just kind of attacking with his sweeper and his slider.
Yeah, and that's when Brandon Pfaadt's really on. Sure, he's got strikeout stuff. He had done it in the minor leagues, and he's shown flashes in the postseason too in 2023. But he's added that cutter into his repertoire recently, and he's become a little bit more of a soft contact guy, which has been massive, right? Because we've seen Brandon Pfaadt be super efficient first pitch. First pitch strike percentage was always near the top of baseball, and opposing lineups knew that and would attack him early in counts when they got that fastball in the zone and just jump him, and which led to his ERA balloon and giving up these hits and runs. Now he adds that cutter. It's a little bit of a wrinkle, and it's been very effective. He's just been able to mix it in. It's a little bit more unpredictable for him for what he's going to throw in certain situations, and it's made him so much more effective. Last 2 outings, we've seen it, and I believe it was the San Diego outing, because I don't know what he did tonight in terms of cutter usage. I think it was his career high in cutters last start.
Right.
It's been leading to success, and the Diamondbacks really need him to continue pitching well.
Well, and that's what's interesting to me is that he wasn't throwing the cutter. That wasn't even a pitch that was part of his repertoire until recently. So adding that pitch seems to be a big part of why we've seen him have these 2 nice outings. Tonight, he really leaned heavily on his sweeper, his sinker, and his 4-seam.
Okay.
That was his major pitches. He threw the sweeper 36% of the outing, sinker 27%. So that was the majority bulk of his outing, but he still threw 6 different pitches tonight. His line, he ends up going 7 innings pitched, allowed 4 hits total, no earned runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts. And I feel like the no walks part is as impressive as the rest of it, because if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe he walked anybody in the Padres outing either. I could be wrong about that. I might just be giving him too much credit, but at the same time,
it's a good guess because he went 8 innings career long. You'd assume he wouldn't walk anybody.
Yeah, he gave up 8 innings. He gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 1 home run, 4 strikeouts in that one. And again, 6 strikeouts tonight. We have our Circle K strikeout meter. Again, it takes a lot of salt water to power up the Circle K strikeout meter. So I usually feel bad about 2 and 3 strikeout performances, but we got 6 on the board tonight. So I think we could get the 6 strikeout meter up for 6. But again, it was just a nice outing of him pitching to contact, not really shying away from that. And because of that, just getting a lot of outs the old-fashioned way, just getting fly balls, getting a lot of ground outs, and again, allowing him to only, to kind of save some of this bullpen and not have to lean so heavily on a unit that we still don't know who to really trust in that bullpen right now as it stands. So
no comment on the bullpen. The one thing I do want to say about Brandon Pfaadt, which is a really funny stat, because obviously he was very good to begin the year. Brandon Pfaadt recorded his 10th win, and I get it. Pitching wins, they're not sexy anymore. We're in 2025. This isn't 2005. I get it. But there's 3 National League pitchers that have 10+ wins this season: Brandon Pfaadt, Matthew Boyd, and Freddie Peralta. It's a good group to be in right now. And Brandon Pfaadt, I get it. Like he's had his struggles this year, but when he's on, if he goes 6+ innings, it's indicative for the Diamondbacks to win those games usually.
Yeah, it's big. And again, it feels like starting pitching inconsistencies has been a problem all year long. And again, we also, have the losses that we've experienced. But even when we had Corbin Burns, even when Zach Gallen, everyone was healthy, it still felt like we weren't getting consistent long outings. We were relying too heavily on the bullpen that was actually not terrible in the beginning of the season, but became terrible as the season drug on, but again, Brandon Pfaadt has been just a great, he's been a great part of this starting rotation. And what you like to see is this consistency out of his last 2 outings, and for that to continue, hopefully. Bullpen wise, no, we're not giving any flowers tonight. Saul Frank, Curtis, you guys both made this game unnecessarily.
Bases loaded jam for Saul Frank, Curtis 3 runs.
And Saul Frank too, that was ridiculous because you get 2 outs without issue. And that seems to be, again, when you talk about reoccurring themes for the Diamondbacks, getting a goddamn 3rd out seems impossible at times by this bullpen.
You know what?
But the first 2 are fine. They're easy. They're a fly ball and a ground out.
Derek, we won. We did it.
I know.
It was a 7-0 lead. They got a field goal. It's over. We did it.
That's fine.
Bullpen rants for when they deserve it.
But Gino botched that play. Fine. I won't.
It's his birthday.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Happy birthday, Gino,
Happy birthday,
by the
Gino.
way.
Good vibes only, baby. Positive vibes.
We do have stuff here from Brandon Pfaadt. We do want to hear from him on what was working so well from him tonight. This is what Brandon Pfaadt had to say after the game.
Yeah, that's probably the best the slider's felt all year, and felt good in warm-up, so we were going to use it quite a bit, and it paid off for us. So.
Is there an adjustment with that pitch, or some reason why?
Yeah, I feel like the last few weeks we've been making subtle grip changes and on the sinker and slider, and using them more, and I like where we're at.
How'd the cutter feel?
Cutter felt good. Cutter. Not to righties. I think I tried it out to Walker when Alec made that catch. So maybe we'll just keep that to lefties, but it feels pretty good.
And man, boy, that catch was something that he's talking about there. That Alec Thomas catch was one of the best catches that we've seen this year. I mean, there was a lot of talk from Torrey, a lot of talk from Brandon Pfaadt there about it. The dugout was going crazy. I mean, the
stadium was going. Derek, I think I'm feeling my jaw because I had to pick it up because I legitimately that was, and I can't, granted I'm not always in Arizona to see it in person.
Sure.
Bonk, that is that's the greatest catch of the year by far.
No, that was by far one of the best catches that I've ever seen at Chase Field. And I think the thing that was addressed when it came to Alec Thomas and that catch is how well Thomas knows center field, especially at Chase Field, which is a difficult place to play it. He knows the dimensions well. You can just see the confidence on his face. And there is something about when a ball like that goes to Alec Thomas, you kind of know that he's going to make the catch before he makes the catch. Like, you just know. You can see he doesn't look lost. He's not turning his head one way or another. He has the angle on it. He's playing it perfectly. And it's wild to me how good he is defensively out there for this team, especially at home.
He did a little bit of a stutter step right before getting to the wall, as if he knew, hey, I'm about to hit this wall. Like you said, knowing the
without even looking, it's crazy.
He had a great feel of it. It's sixth sense. Shout out Bruce Willis. Words. I'm struggling to put into words because it was a phenomenal catch. It was the greatest catch, and it's a really good catch when AT celebrates the way he did. He kind of did a little Naruto celebration, arms down, celebrating. When a guy of his caliber, Gold Glove finalist, celebrates a catch like that,
right?
That's when you know it's a super special catch.
For sure. And not only that, but like you said, the ovation in the stadium. The last time I heard that kind of ovation was when
I showed up to the stadium.
That's right. No, I was going to say when the crowd was all going positive for Ketel, but also when you showed up at the stadium. That's for sure. But again, just an amazing night defensively out there for this team. Overall, just a thorough victory, right? I mean, yes, they did put up the field goal, like you said, late, but outside of that, it was nearly a perfect win. And I mean, overall, this team, it was a team effort on the offensive side of things. We're going to talk about the offense, but just, this one feels good because the Diamondbacks need to get going on the other side of this break so badly. They need some positive things to happen. And I think it was my friend Jack Summers who turned to me right when this game started going well for the Diamondbacks and said, they're going to continue to make this difficult on us, aren't they? Right? Because I think that's the biggest problem with the 2025 Arizona Diamondbacks is who the hell is this team? Torrey was asked about it after the game. Players were asked about it. I mean, it's like you have games like this where you see what this team can be, even with all of the injuries they've experienced and everything they've gone through. You feel like they're resilient enough and talented enough to overcome that and still be a contender. But then something terrible will happen that will completely change your perspective on that, and will all go away after 2 or 3 games.
You said it best. It's resiliency with this team, and it goes to the offensive side of the ball. You've mentioned their top 5 in a lot of offensive statistics. This lineup, when they go, this team really does go.
Yeah.
And there's not been many clunkers, as you mentioned recently. It's been the pitching. That has been the biggest question mark, both in the starting rotation and in the bullpen. And the beginning of the year was the defense, too. Something that had never been a question since like the beginning of 2022, where they started like really clicking defensively. There hadn't been much questions on the defensive side of the ball, but this year they obviously got to a slow start on that, behind their pitchers. Rotation, bullpen has been the questions. If you get a decent outing and you have a couple run lead, sure, it might not feel safe with the bullpen in play, but that said, the lineup, you never know, because bottom of the ninth, you could be down 4 runs, and guess what? You end up winning a game. Sorry, Padres fans.
Yeah, that's also then you could also lose them that way too, which we've seen. Yeah. But yeah, again, you're right about that, and even bringing up the defense is such a great point. That's like it's like the Diamondbacks, if you consider them to be a 5-tool player. Always have one tool broken.
Yep.
Not only not working, not developed, broken,
flat out broken,
and as bad as you can imagine. But then that tool varies from one game or shifts from 1 week to another. And it's been why this has been such a frustrating stretch. But we do have more from Brandon Pfaadt, speaking of the defense behind him and how good it was tonight. Here's what Pfaadt had to say about his guys getting his back.
Yeah, I think both Alec and Corbin had tremendous catches, and so shout out to them. I think those were the plays of the game and kept us going, getting us back in the dugout and keeping us on offense. So shout out to them. They've been doing that all year, so they probably don't get enough credit for that.
I think the reason why they don't get enough credit is the same reason why at times we're so frustrated with this defense, is because of all the things that we've talked about, of all the components that this team has, bad and good, that have been not working and working, the defense for the last couple of years has always been superior. It's always been their calling card, and that, like, we've even broken it down on this show, where we've kind of been like, what the hell even is Diamondbacks baseball anymore? Because you don't really know, the way that it's varied from one season to the next, what it was in 2023 versus what it was in 2024, what it is this year. But I will say that the one thing that you can say has always consistently been a part of this team, even when they were bad and losing a lot of games, was defense. Their defense has always been good, and they've always had a talented infield out there, especially with this particular group of guys, this young, core. And it, like you said, it just wasn't there early on. But we have seen this team get back on tracks as the season has gone on. Different
team per season, different team per week. It's been impeccable. Like June and July, I feel like they'd win 3 in a row, then lose 3 in a row, then win 3 in a row. Like they would never have a stagnant run of consistently being good or consistently being bad. I will say defensively, if it wasn't for the Milwaukee Brewers the last couple of seasons, the Diamondbacks would probably be the Platinum Glove Award winning team defensively. That's how good the Diamondbacks have been. That's the caliber they've been playing up to prior to this year. And granted, it's gotten a lot better from the beginning of the season, but the defense, like, that is a true identity. And I do think the one other part that's been missing, especially when we compare it to that 2023 team, I know we shouldn't look back, but like, that was the World Series team, right? It's the base running. It's that, it's the chaotic baseball. It's that energy, taking extra bases, stealing some bags. And I feel like, granted, it was definitely the ideal move to go get some power, and the lineup needed it after the 2023 season. I do feel like the one hit this team has still taken, they're not as electric on the base paths as they had been, right? And that's something, maybe some chaos baseball comes back, the answer backs comes back in that sense soon. I think that's the one area I would love to see them, take a step forward in again.
That I felt like the thing about the create chaos moniker, right, was that it really did apply pressure that we're not currently applying on the opposing team, that even if it didn't result in a ton of runs being scored, it still resulted in, like, causing the starting pitcher to have a mental breakdown while he was out there.
Too many pitches.
Too many pitches. Not just that, but like, I've talked about it in the past. You will have pitchers say this. I'm sure you've heard them say this. Like, I'd rather give up a home run, clear the bases, and just start over with a fresh, clean slate in the inning, rather than have them do the the carousel thing of single, double, single. Every time I look around, there's a guy
Somebody
on
on base.
third.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
somebody stealing second. And that's the stuff that really can knock a pitcher out of a game, something that the Diamondbacks were so good at doing with, Corbin and Alec Thomas and Jake McCarthy all being part of that chaos, right? But again, you do have to evolve, and I think that they are evolving, and the offense, again, has evolved. They don't really need at times to rely on that creating chaos as much, to generate the runs that they're generating this year. What they do need, though, is the defense. And I think that that's something that when we see this team playing solid defense, we see starting pitchers like Brandon Pfaadt be able to go 7-8 innings and not have those outings unnecessarily extended by a bad drop play behind him here or whatever, like we saw there with Gino there in the 8th inning, right? That's the way that things have gone for this team.
Absolutely,
where you get the 2 outs, you got the one sure thing ground ball, all of a sudden that's messed up. There's an error. They gave it a hit. It's not a hit, but they gave it an error.
No way.
But
happy birthday, Gino.
Happy birthday, Gino. But they definitely, they definitely are a different team now. But the defense, again, solid. All people could talk about was the Alec Thomas catch. We have Perdomo here talking about the Thomas catch. Here's what Frog Domo had to say.
Amazing. Since I saw the ball, I knew he got at least 99% to catch the ball. He's a really good athlete. Even done that before, not like this, but since I saw that, I knew for sure he's gonna be now.
And I feel like he says that, right? Like, I get what he's saying. Like, I knew, because that's what I was saying. You just saw the way Alec had that read on that ball. You knew he was going to catch it. I just I have to feel like the starting pitchers look around them, look at those guys behind them, and they have all the confidence that they're going to make these plays. And when they don't, like we said, when the defense hasn't been sharp, that's really when you see the body language of the starting pitchers just kind of like look dejected, and you really see them going through it. They're not bouncing back and being like, oh, well, it's definitely like one of those situations where you can see the mental head assing going on, where they're like, damn, I should have been out of this inning. I hope that nothing bad goes on now. I hope that this doesn't go off the rails. And then of course it does. So it's good to see, though. The defense, again, incredible tonight. We have Torey Lovullo, one more, and then we'll get out of here, at least talking about this catch. But we can't get enough of this Alec Thomas catch.
Unbelievable catch.
Yeah, this is what Torey had to say.
Yeah, the dugout erupted. The ball leaves the bat, and you see it basically wanting to leave the ballpark, and he goes out there and just tracking it. And Alec I'm so used to his rhythm when he's running and then looks down at the wall and then looks back up for the ball. That means he's got a real good feel for where it's going to land. So when he looked back up there, I thought, wow, it's not going out of the park. The ball died out there, and it was just a great catch with awareness of where he was on the warning track, the space that he had. It was a typical Alec play, and I was really happy to get that he made it, obviously.
Have you seen many outfielders better at running to the spot than that?
Yeah, no, I think his eyes are a huge carry tool in that situation. So that's hours and hours, years and years of practice, probably from when he was a little kid. And he continues to do it. He's one of the hardest working outfielders we have. I see him out there every day in BP tracking balls, because when that ball's hit, if you can go to that spot without having to redirect yourself, that's a clean angle. We work hard at it. He gets graded every single day on it. Dave McKay gives him a report card every single day as to the efficiency of the route. But he's as good as I've seen, for sure.
It was an incredible catch. Probably catch of the year for the Diamondbacks. But we have one more from Brandon Pfaadt here. And, of course, he just talks here about starting the second half right with a win. And that's what we all love to see tonight, is a big win for this team that needs it so desperately. Here's what Brandon had to say.
Yeah, they gave me the ball game 1, and I told them if it's game 1 or game 5, I'm ready to go. And fortunately, I was able to start today and start the second half off pretty good.
We are going to take a quick break, but on the other side of this break, we're going to talk about Geraldo Perdomo, his night, and, of course, ADC making his grand return to the Arizona Diamondbacks. So don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Of course, you know the moment when you turn around and your sunglasses are gone. You know it because you walked outside in the Arizona sun and it blinded you, and you realize that something is wrong, something is off, your glasses are missing. Well, if you get your glasses from a fine company like Shady Rays, you don't have to worry about that because they have your back with a lost and broken replacement plan that will ask you no questions about where your sunglasses went, where you were, what happened. They'll just make sure to replace them with a brand new pair. And of course, that is the reason why Shady Rays is such an amazing company. They also have some wonderful frames, very stylish frames, and some incredibly clear optics with their polarized lenses that you can check out. Of course, go to their website if you don't love your Shady Rays, which of course sometimes that happens. You get stuff online, doesn't fit your face right, doesn't look the same that it did. Shady Rays has your back. 30 days after your purchase, you can get your money back or you can get an exchange. Again, Shady Rays wants to make sure that you are happy with your sunglasses. Get yourself a premium pair of shades that won't cost you a premium price. Right now, we've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off. Polarized sunglasses, try for yourself. Shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. And look, I might be a baseball guy, but I'm a NASCAR guy now. And I have become a NASCAR guy mostly because of the Phoenix Raceway, which the Phoenix Raceway is holding championship weekend this October. Make sure to come on out October 31st through November 2nd and check out the big race, the championship race. For those of you that aren't into racing, let me tell you, it's exciting. They have a playoff system, and that playoff ends here in Phoenix, where, of course, a winner will be crowned. You get the best access in sports over there at Phoenix Raceway Championship Weekend. With a small ticket upgrade, you're in the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience, which is where we got to hang out last time they were here in town. And man, it was an incredible experience to meet the drivers, to check out the cars, everything. After a grueling season that starts in February, just like the baseball season, it all comes down to this in October, championship weekend. So we share a lot of things in common. It's a weekend of pure adrenaline where legends are made. Don't miss your chance to witness NASCAR's championship weekend in person, coming to Phoenix Raceway October 31st through November 2nd. Tickets for Sunday's Cup Series Championship race sell out every single year. So move fast, get yours before they're gone. And here's the kicker. NASCAR is taking championship weekend on the road starting in 2026. So this is your last chance to see the big championship race right here in Phoenix. Tickets, hospitality, and upgrades are still available. Get yours at phoenixraceway.com.
Derek, you better get those tickets quick because I know that knowing your wife, you might be catching some divorce papers if you don't get tickets to the NASCAR Championship Series.
And let me tell you, Ryan Blaney, by the way, Ryan Blaney, that's our guy. He's kind of the equivalent of the Arizona Diamondbacks. He gets knocked out of races a lot. He has a lot of
really?
do not finishes, DNFs,
yeah,
right? Where this poor guy's just out there racing, just living his best life, just trying to win a race, and someone else takes him out. Just like Gino getting taken out, hitting the hand by the same guy that hits him in the hand in regular season game. Does it in the All-Star game?
I
don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't think that's coincidence. No.
Tinfoil hats on now, please and thank you. Welcome back to this section of the show.
That's right. We're going into conspiracy theories now, but offensively, team got things going tonight. Of course, Perdomo, huge part of it. You got the party started there with a stand-up triple, but doesn't score. Another frustrating thing about this team, when Perdomo's not the one hitting with runners in scoring position, they can't seem to get guys in. But they did a good job of generating their offense tonight, generating some more runs. Adrian Del Castillo is back and maybe better than ever. I don't know. He got a hit in his first at bat, single with one out in the second, and then he kind of chipped in all over the place all night long. And you could say that about this team overall. Perdomo had the big hit with 2 outs. Alec Thomas singled there in the second inning. And then with runners on the corners, Jose Herrera brings in the first run of the game with an RBI single. Corbin Carroll walks. And then with 2 on and 2 outs, Perdomo delivers a 2 RBI single that pushed the lead up to 3-0 at that point. And it felt pretty good. However, we've seen this story before, so it was nice to see them just continue to add on. Yep. And small ball, right? No home runs tonight, a couple of extra base hits, but for the most part, they were just doing it with walks and singles, taking advantage of mistakes that the Cardinals made defensively as well. Or I don't know if you could make a mistake. I guess getting hit with a baseball and then trying to make a play and throwing it for a throwing error. It's kind of more just all in the moment.
I give him Pante credit for trying to throw the ball.
Dude, I mean,
that thing was 93 off the bat, right to the back.
Hit him right in his back.
Yeah.
I would have fallen to the ground and started crying. That's how I would.
I'm out for a month if that happens.
100%.
Now, granted, I'm like 150 pounds soaking wet, but
it's gonna break bones on you. But still, you're not gonna turn around and try to make an attempted throw over there.
Derek,
but
you'd be limping.
Yeah.
You'd be walking around limping for a month.
It wouldn't even been the foot or leg that got hit. I would just have a new injury that has nothing to do with getting hit in the back.
The spine connects everything,
Right. I mean, ADC, though, he's a guy. He's a guy that comes in, again, getting called up to make his debut like he did today, and just be that guy, be involved in so many of those moments. It was a great thing to see out of him. And I mean, we know this. We've seen him come up and just have magical moments for this team. He caused them to go on a 6-game win streak last time he debuted.
I object to that. I think the reason why they went on the 6-game winning streak, that was the series. I was here when I first came back, and I'm back now.
Look, we tried to pull out all the stops. We tried to, before the All-Star break, bring Damon to Chase Field because he is a human rabbit's foot, right? And he is very lucky for this team. It wasn't enough, so we further engaged in more tomfoolery here by bringing you in and also having Adrian Del
come back.
Yeah,
the lever was pulled there.
Yeah, we needed to pull both of those things together, but I mean, he's just a guy that really, I don't know, like offensively, he just seems built for the majors. I know that he has some issues still behind the plate. I know last year, like, my God, if you the word was out that if you got a base runner on, you could run on him, and he wasn't going to be able to get you out. And that was one of the most frustrating parts about seeing him behind the plate. He was sent down to work on that. Hopefully he did, but I mean, still, just overall, it was an impressive debut for him to come back, make his season debut here after having injuries and after having a pretty erratic season in AAA, and being able to provide the Diamondbacks with what he did tonight.
1, 2, 3, easy as ADC. Thank you, Lando. 100%. I did. I think I was saying some Jackson 5 before, saying it too, because I was so happy he's back. 3 for 3 in his first 3 plate appearances of his 2025 debut. I will admit, when he comes up with the bases loaded, I did think he was going to hit a grand slam.
I did too.
I thought it was going to be a magical moment, a magical night. 4 for 4 with the grand slam, 5 RBIs. Run scoring double play, doesn't get the RBI, still gets the run in, which is at least the small clap, the golf clap, if you will, from. But no, it's been huge. We need another. I don't want to say a breath of fresh air. I think somebody might have said that in the chat, but having someone just come in and contribute.
It's a spark.
It's a spark. Thank you. That's the term I'm looking for. Something to ignite this offense, right? And granted, Pavin Smith in April was arguably the best hitter in baseball for how productive he was from the left side of the plate, facing off against right-handed pitching. Obviously, he's really cooled off since the beginning of May. ADC could be that spark, especially when facing right-handed pitching from the DH role. I think that's where he could really thrive. And I will say for ADC, looking past the 2025 season, I know the Diamondbacks have been adamant about using him as at the catcher position, but Gabby's locked up. That's where he's supposed to be playing for the duration of his time with the Diamondbacks and tenure of the Diamondbacks. ADC first base is a little bit more of a murky situation. I don't know if he's able or unable to learn the position. I think that's a spot. If this bat plays and you don't want him to be the full-time DH and only clog up that position and he can't catch, here you go. Everyday role. Congratulations, ADC. Here's a role because that bat can play.
You don't need to convince me any further. I watched Moneyball on the plane coming home from Puerto Rico.
We did it.
I very much saw Scott Hatteberg make this exact move.
Thank you.
From going from behind the home plate to first base.
Yep.
He didn't believe in himself. But you know who did? Billy Bean. Billy Bean believed in him.
But the beloved scout in the movie says it's incredibly hard.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard. And you know what? We're going to play Pena. We're going to play Pena at first base. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, Diamondbacks again. A lot of notable performances tonight. Geraldo Perdomo, 2 for 4 tonight, triple, 2 RBI. Alek Thomas just chipping in on both offensively and defensively. We talked about that. Blaze Alexander, big hit for him tonight. He was 1 for 4 with a double and RBI there. So just one of those nights where nobody really stood out. That was the single reason why they won, at least at the plate. But we're going to give our king snake to Adrian Del Castillo because this man, in his return to the team, went 3 for 4 with 2 runs scored and an RBI. And again, he just seemed to be involved in so many things. It's just so cool to see a guy like this get another opportunity. And again, he didn't know how his season was going to go. He didn't know injury wise. He didn't know in a lot of different ways, where he was going to end up. After the game, he kind of discussed not really expecting to be called up, not expecting, to get this opportunity this soon. And I think the thing about guys like ADC is that the Diamondbacks don't have a lot of young players get an opportunity that really grab that brass ring. And that's what they kind of need in times, because that's what baseball is about. Baseball is about you getting an opportunity and being ready for it. Now, with the way that the depth has been depleted, you're getting down to a point where the guys that are available to you in AAA or even AA, they're not ready necessarily for this opportunity. And that's the reason why, as much as we get excited to see these guys get called up, they struggle at a major league level. ADC has just kind of always seemed ready. And I mean, even last year, there were those times. Like, again, we talk about the shortcomings of his game behind the plate, but this just seems like a guy that is destined to be a big leaguer and, just needs to figure out where he's going to play and how he can contribute in other ways besides with the bat in his hand.
Yeah, I mean, he just looks so comfortable at the plate, and it's been productive. Like, there hasn't been anyone that really seemed to over-challenge him or phase him. It's been very impressive. I will say, I'm curious, I want to see him for a full season before I make the jump of, wow, this bat's super locked in and super here. I think he's great. I think he will be great. I think he is great. I would love to see the bigger sample size. But this team, man, 8 of 9 players record a hit. The only person that doesn't get hit is our guy Corbin Carroll from the leadoff spot today.
Oof.
And you know what? It was literally team baseball. ADC was definitely the engine of tonight's game with the 3 hits and the 1 RBI, 2 RBIs, a run scored.
Two runs scored and an RBI, yep.
Yeah, see, that was the brain not working there.
No, that's all right. You were there.
I was all over. It's not like there was a graphic for King Snake that just popped up 2 minutes ago.
That actually told you what it was.
That didn't say whatever. No, but long story short, ADC, I would love for him to figure out what his position is, because he's a young kid, but he's already producing at this level. I just want to see him play consistently, Derek, because that will answer way more questions for this Diamondbacks team. Because Pavin Smith got a long leash. Heck, it's time to give ADC that long leash. And I've only seen him play 1 game this year already.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to say, and it's interesting to think about how important a catcher is to this game, right? But we've already seen James McCann come in here and make a huge impact on this team and have a huge impact, right? And I don't know, I never heard any complaints about Gabriel Moreno behind the dish. However, I do notice that certain phrases are used by the pitchers more when they're talking about someone like James McCann. And even though this guy was kind of a cast away himself, right? It's amazing that they're still able to find people that can come in here, either veterans like McCann or even a young guy like ADC, and contribute to this team. And honestly, I don't blame them for trying anything right now. Same thing with the bullpen, with how erratic things have been. I don't blame them for continuing to try to find guys with major league experience that have an ERA the last time they pitched in the majors of 7 or 8 or 9 or 13, just because they're looking for guys that
They need arms, Derek.
They need an arm.
They need arms.
And I mean, again, baseball is filled with those stories of those opportunities that you give a guy and suddenly he can come back and be something different. Maybe not what he was before, but he's figured out a way now
serviceable
to play. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Shelby Miller is the finest example of that for this team, considering our history with him and what he was in the bullpen for this team this season,
Ryan Thompson in 2023. I still think that Hazen and co are trying to find the Ryan Thompson.
Oh, I think
every year.
Every time. I think that too.
And granted,
because Ryan Thompson was weird, and we talked about it a bunch on this show.
He was
but
good. He wasn't like he was bad. I think it was a 3 or 4 ERA, but
two bad outings that ballooned his ERA up, right? And again, when you don't pitch a lot of innings and you're a reliever and you do have those bad outings,
skyrockets.
Right? Yeah,
that's been
Jalen
Beeks this year. It's the same thing. He's had 2 or 3 really bad outings, and the rest he's been rock solid. And that ERA is now like a 4.4 because of those outings.
Pfaadt's never going to recover from the yes hitter, right? Well, he's going to be fine. And I mean, again, it's not a true, I guess, example of who he is as a pitcher going forward. But that bad outing is going to hang over his head and his ERA for the rest of the season, no matter how good he pitches. So there's that. But Sean is asking if Brad Ziegler can still pitch. I do have a pair of his cleats in my office. So if he can pitch, I would be willing to give him back his cleats.
Maybe a like Mike situation going on with you right now,
Yeah.
where like you put the Ziegler cleats on and all of a sudden you're a submarine thrower.
That would be wild. Yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot. Look, I mean,
we do have those gloves we still need to break in there.
I know, you and me, we're still looking. We still haven't played catch. We bought those gloves a year ago.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
I think I'm in. I think tomorrow before the game, let's go. Let's get you out there.
Well, you're a warehouse games MVP. I've seen you. I've seen you in the outfield. I've seen you at the dish.
You're in a little bit more prime of your athletic career, I think, than me and Derek.
Guys, I have bad news. I may or may not be washed per sources. I am sources.
It's me. I'm sources.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem.
Well, we do have Torrey talking about ADC's night and what he brought to this team. Here's what Torrey had to say about his young catcher.
Yeah, in spring training, I think he was fighting to make the team. He wanted to show us what he could do, and he had the I got to and have to mentality. Like, I got to show him I can hit, I got to show him I'm healthy, and that's hard. I think he was letting the game come to him today. He checked off a couple of pitches on the outer edge, he checked off a couple pitches on the inner edge, and that told me he was looking in one spot in one area, and he was geared up and looking the right way for me when he's talking or when you're thinking about your approach. So the balance was there, the bat speed was there, and then all of a sudden you got to start to get really stubborn to the pitch. And as soon as he laid off and checked off those two pitches in one at bat, I thought he was in a good spot.
Well, let's take a look here at the numbers from tonight's game presented by our friends at Desert Financial. Diamondbacks win this one by a score of 7-3. They out-hit the St. Louis Cardinals just barely, 11-10. They were 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position, which is pretty good for this team. 2 for 9 for the Cardinals. 2 extra base hits for the Cardinals, 3 extra base hits for the Diamondbacks, no home runs for either team. And then expected batting average there, 376 for the Cardinals versus 279. Those are imaginary numbers that don't actually count, but still.
Expected batting average hates Brandon Pfaadt.
Oh, it hates him. Yeah. Expected batting average is like, this clown should have given up 12 hits tonight and 5 home runs, but he didn't somehow. Yeah, well.
Womp to the expected batting average. I'm sorry to tell you.
I'll say this, that overall, this was, again, I don't want to dwell on the what happened with the bullpen there at the end, but I do think that's important. And I do think that once again, it's just an indication of how well this season and a game like this can go until we get to the bullpen. And then suddenly a 7-0 lead doesn't really seem safe and you don't feel comfortable any longer with it. And that's probably right now the most broken part of this Diamondbacks machine that we're watching.
That's the point of the team. That's the part of the team where I think a team that could be a contender and buy at the deadline, it might not be the case because of this bullpen. Not to just say the results of the bullpen because they've had their struggles, but the health of the bullpen too,
for sure.
The amount of arms they've had to go back there. And quite frankly, I believe it's all 8 arms currently in the bullpen were not on the opening day bullpen. That's not a red flag. That is like neighborhood on fire bad. Like, that's impeccable.
Yeah, because Ginkle was injured. Yeah,
right.
So yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Ryan Thompson just got hurt recently, so now he's out.
Yeah,
Ryan Nelson's in the rotation. It's crazy. But this team, like we talked about this lineup, one of the best lineups in baseball. The rotation has shown life, has been bouncing back. Gallen, Brandon Pfaadt the last couple of starts. Mel Kelly's been consistent. Sure, I still have faith in some of those guys, but when we get to the bullpen, like, we have to hold our breaths with a 7-0 lead, Derek. It's 7-0. It's not like 1-0 with a runner in scoring position in the 9th inning. Oh, no, we're talking a touchdown lead, basically.
It doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem right. Dude, it's not right. But, like, you can't play what-ifs in this game, but, like, if you have Justin Martinez and AJ Puck, it's a way different feel in this bullpen because if Pfaadt gives you 7, 8, 9, you're good to go. You're feeling easy breezy lemon squeezy because you're going to get 2 shutout innings from both these guys. Game's over. Yeah. Rest of the bullpen saved. But now bullpen is completely imploded to the point where even if they go on a run, I still fear this. It might not be enough because the back end has just been so brutal.
Yeah. And you can't feel comfortable with any kind of outing, which or any kind of lead, which is why they need the starting pitching to do what Brandon Pfaadt did tonight. And I feel like we're seeing a bit more of this philosophy from the other pitchers. So maybe this is something that's resonating with the pitching staff, with Brian Kaplan. Maybe that's part of it is being a bit more aggressive to the zone, pitching a bit more to contact. It's just allowing you to get a little easier outs. You're not You're not up there trying to work the edges and going to a full count with every batter like Zach Gallen has been doing, getting behind in the count early and working his way back. Like it feels like when we're seeing them not be scared to pitch to contact, this team is a different team. This pitching staff is a different staff. And maybe that change is why we're seeing these guys. I mean, again, it also kind of came along when James McCann kind of got back there behind the dish. Not that he was, catching tonight, but still, it just seems like overall we're seeing a little bit more of an old school philosophy, which is helping these pitchers go longer. And that's right now, it feels like that's the only path to the Diamondbacks winning and being successful, is to get their starting staff to be able to go longer in these games and to not have to rely so much on the bullpen.
And the only thing I do want to make a note of, when it comes to this old school method, which I love, just pump strikes, just don't be too much in the zone. Because I think sometimes there's been, especially with Brandon Pfaadt early in counts where he tries to throw for, a first pitch strike, it's too much middle or high in his zone, where it gets hit and there's that hard contact. And that's where it's a problem. But if you're near the zone, on the border of the zone, way more competitive pitches, then you're going to get more swings and misses early in counts. Whereas if you're going to throw, I don't want to say a meatball because that's kind of offensive, but like if you're throwing, pitches over the heart of the plate, you're going to get jumped on. And Pfaadt has done a good job of late, living more on the black than living over the heart of the zone.
Yeah. Well, we got Torey here just discussing this team playing like they're supposed to. This is what Torey had to say about this team doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Sometimes, yeah, for sure. I know baseball's a hard game, and it's not always clean. It's not always easy. And as long as the effort's there and the guys go out and play focused baseball, I'm always pleased. Sometimes I think we get a little lackadaisical, and today was one of those days where I think we were inspired, we were rested, and we came out and played the type of game that I'd expect us to tomorrow. And we were capable of doing it. So when they come out and tease me with this and they inspire me, that's what my standard is, and I'm going to continue to hold them to that.
By the way, Damon does not look like every member of the Diamondbacks team. That's Caucasian, right?
That got me.
Yeah, for sure.
Ryan Nelson and now Garrett Hampson.
Well, technically, Garrett Hampson's not a part of this team.
Oh, no. Was he still on the Cardinals? Because that was his last team he was on, unless he got released from that.
He is on the Cardinals, I think.
Oh, boy.
I get some Ed Nortons. I know it's not a Diamondbacks player, but
like
just
the
random.
Yeah,
just random white guy.
Okay. I like Primal Fear.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, we always said that you were going to be a stand-in for Jesse, so I mean, this is working out at least.
Oh, I usually wear glasses too.
Yeah, there's that too.
I'll take the hat. I don't have the hair for Jesse though.
Yeah, no, we'll got to get you some. You definitely wouldn't wear a jersey. Jesse wouldn't wear a jersey, so we'll have to fix that. But
it's okay.
We'll work.
Dalton
it out.
knows way too many movie references.
That's
to be
true.
Jesse.
Yeah, you've seen more than 5 movies. So
oh
that
yeah, I've
also
seen like
disqualifies
6.
you.
Oh yeah,
good for you. All right, well, on the other side of this break, like I said, I was on vacation. So we're going to get caught up on some of the things I missed while I was gone, including an amazing all-star game and why I don't want to see a swing off in every regular season game. So stop asking for it. We're going to do that on the other side of this break. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Well, my vacation was no stay at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and that's because I had to travel. And I've talked about it quite a bit. I hate traveling. That part sucks. So if you want an ultimate staycation, make sure to do it right here in town with Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You can drink just as many pina coladas as I did in Puerto Rico and not have to pay nearly as much in airline fare. But one thing that's great about Gila River is you don't have to go there necessarily for a staycation. It's a great night out on the town. It can make for a great weekend. Fun Sunday, and of course with their BetMGM Sportsbook over there, you can make any day a fun day watching sports there. Watch all your baseball action. Of course, we got football season right around the corner, as well as UFC happening all the time and all sorts of other sporting events. So make sure to go check out their BetMGM Sportsbook over there. They have massive screens, delicious food and spirits, and all the action for all the sports. It's the ultimate place to watch and win. Place your bets and experience the excitement. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathgila.com for more details. And July is a time to celebrate this country, and also here in Arizona, it's time to celebrate our energy bills being very high due to how hot it is. And one way for you to ensure that you lower those costs is by getting yourself a smart thermostat. And APS wants to help you do so. If you are an APS customer, you can get a smart thermostat for as low as $0 at their marketplace, and that's great. it's great to have a smart thermostat. I was controlling mine from a very far distance away. I was on a little island in the Caribbean, and I was still ensuring that the person that was watching my house was not going to be costing. She cranked it up to 72 degrees. No, that was getting turned back up to 76. And this is just one of the wonderful things you can do when you have a smart thermostat. APS customers can find instant rebates, discounts, and special offers on smart thermostats, energy-efficient appliances, and more at marketplace.aps.com. Right now, you may be eligible as an APS customer for a smart thermostat as low as $0 when you enroll in the APS Cool Rewards program. If you already have a smart thermostat at home, see if it's eligible to enroll in Cool Rewards, plus free installs available at marketplace.aps.com. Must be an APS customer and pay shipping and taxes. Other restrictions do apply. Go to marketplace.aps.com for more information. Well, we did have a fun all-star break. At least I thought we were going to. Instead, what we got is Ketel Marte being out of the lineup today because he is dealing with a personal matter, and that personal matter is that his home was burglarized right here in the Valley while he was away at the All-Star game. And I will say that this sucks for high-profile athletes and celebrities because of the fact that sometimes when you are going to be at a thing, people know you're going to be at that thing.
Oh, yeah.
And with it being the All-Star game on top of that, people had to know. Obviously, this was a coordinated effort. It would seem to be a little more, planned than your typical robbery or your typical crime. But like, again, they knew Ketel wasn't going to be in town. They knew his family wasn't going to be in town. And now Marte is unfortunately not available to the Diamondbacks during a very important time in this team's season, right? And I mean, again, you can't blame Marte. What happened is devastating, and it's one of those things that is, I don't know, like you're a victim of it, and it feels like it has to feel so disarming that your home, your safe place, your sanctity was broken into while you weren't there. And then on top of that, to have, I'm sure a lot of very expensive, very personal items to Ketel were taken. So there's that aspect. I don't know. Like, I still don't understand how a burglary like that happens, because what are you going to do with that stuff? How are you going to sell that stuff without somebody noticing that you're selling like Ketel Marte's, 4 chain or whatever they stole and not get caught? Hopefully that's the case. And hopefully it's like a Padres fan or something on top of that. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing that out there. That part's probably Dodgers fan. That's pure speculation at this point. I'm not trying to throw any accusations one way or another, but we'll just hope that it's an NL West fan and not
Shohei Ohtani caught with Marte's chain. What? I didn't say that.
You're gonna get this guy started, and he's gonna go on a whole rant about Ohtani being a criminal now. And
No.
Are we talking about Ohtani, the war criminal?
See, there it is.
In a court of law, I just opened the door.
Yeah, you really did.
Derek, did you watch our What If episode, by the way?
Oh, I did. I sure did.
Did you stick around till the very end?
I sure did.
At the very end, I said that I wanted to put what if Shohei Ohtani was put in prison for his crimes against baseball, but the higher-ups here at PHNX Sports didn't allow me to.
I still thought it was I still think it's a valid topic.
It might be number one.
I mean, it's interesting. It's just it's real when you think about it. It's interesting. What if?
What if I didn't bring that up?
Yeah, I mean, this is on you. Really, this is on you. But I wanted to talk more positive All-Star Game stuff and not that. But I mean, it does suck. Obviously, again, going back to Ketel Marte, missing out of the lineup. This is similar to like an injury where like I don't think anybody's blaming Marte for not being in the lineup. I don't think anybody. I didn't mean make you laugh with the injury thing. I just meant like it comes up out of nowhere and it's something he has to deal with. It sucks. It's out of the hands of everybody. But I do think that there are some people like basically acting like, well, why aren't you still out there?
We don't know how long he's going to be out, and he should take as much time as he needs because
That's
not only
what it comes down to.
Life has been lifing, and I think people, and sometimes I even forget this too. Baseball players, athletes, they're also human beings, right? And so Ketel Marte over the last month has had his home be robbed while he's at the All-Star game, and the White Sox fan incident where
with saying something terrible about his mother,
right?
And all that.
So like life has been life for Ketel Marte. I think it's actually smart that he's taking a few days off because at least for the All-Star break, a lot of players who don't make the All-Star game, that's their like mini vacation during the season, take some time, reset. Ketel didn't have that. And not only did he not have that, his home was like the place he would be going back to was the place that was victimized of a crime.
Right.
So
it's hard and again, baseball being such a mental game, it's hard to expect guys to be present and worried about the game that they're playing.
When you're worried about personal life.
When you're worried about that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And I mean, beyond that, it goes to safety and other issues, right? Like, I imagine there's a point where you start wondering if you need to move or uproot your life that much in order to prevent something like this from happening more. So, yeah. And Candace says it wonderfully here. She says, he's human. He needs mental health days too. That's exactly what it's about. But overall, he had himself an amazing all-star game, as did all the Diamondbacks that were involved in action, except Gino getting hit in the hand.
They all did something in the game.
They all did something.
He made a great play.
He did make a great play, which showed that his hand was fine, right? Again, still, I'm with you. I still don't believe it's coincidence that the same guy hits him twice, but whatever. I'll let that happen. You hit him in the goddamn hand twice. I don't know. What do you expect me to say? But
happy birthday, Gino.
Ketel Marte puts up the first 2 runs for the NL team. Corbin Carroll hits a home run. So
the first home run ever by a Diamondback in an all-star game.
Yeah,
that's
incredible.
Unbelievable. I mean, it's fantastic that Corbin Carroll did it too. I think Ketel Marte had the first RBI for the Diamondbacks since 2005. So this was like a relatively historic all-star game for the Diamondbacks players. And Gino Suarez got hit in the hand.
Yeah, he did.
Made a great play.
He was fine.
But he was fine.
Fine
and made a great defensive play.
More importantly, though, getting hit in the hand allowed him not to be a part of that swing-off after the American League tied the game. And instead of going to extra innings, we go to a swing off.
You're out on the swing off.
No. Well, here's what I think is the minute I saw it, I was like, this is the greatest thing to ever happen.
Okay.
And then I knew it was going to be a problem because I knew people were going to be like, I want this for every tie baseball game. And now what I will say is that I do deep down in my soul feel like the swing off is better than the ghost runner. I do feel like that.
Okay.
Because I think I understand the ghost runner. I do want to get out of there faster. I don't want games to go to 15 innings during the regular season. I believe in all of that. I think it's unfair the way that like one extra innings game can deplete your team, and then you're trying to figure out how to make it up and get guys rest for the next week and all that kind of crap. But I don't necessarily know if I don't know. I'm conflicted because I knew it was special. And again, the fact that it happened in the All-Star game is what made it special. But if we implemented this into regular season baseball, I feel like it would maybe get very old very fast.
I think the best middle ground is if it's 3 extra innings and you don't score, or not that you don't score, it's still tied through 3 extra innings. After the 12th inning and we're still tied, then we do the swing off. Okay. So it gives teams 3 different chances to win the game. Okay. And if you can't figure your crap out by then, all right, swing off it is. So I think that's where you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I do like it, and I'm not saying that because I'm a fan of a team that has a bad bullpen. No, in all seriousness, I didn't say that. I truly think it's just very entertaining. And I think it's really cool if like if the 2 teams that were doing the swing off kept it secret for who was coming out, and then it's like wrestling and you hear the walk-up song. It's like, by golly, that's Corbin Carroll's music. And Corbin Carroll comes up. That would be sick. No one knows who's coming up to hit.
You knew where to get me. You knew how to get me on board with this.
That's electric.
You use pro wrestling entrances and themes as a part of this.
Jake McCarthy.
Yeah, no, that would actually, it would be strategically would be awesome because like you can only have one pitcher go up. Right? You're only sending one pitcher out there. You don't know, like, you don't know what pitcher I'm sending up, and I don't know what batters I'm sending up.
But
so you have no idea. I mean, I'm not saying you could.
But for the swing off?
Yeah.
Because you would have the BP, no?
Oh yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, that's true. It's the BP. Yeah, okay. Well,
sorry.
Still, yeah, all right. Well, I don't know.
I have a quick 30-second rant that's like I want to implement for baseball that they will never do, but I would love for this to happen.
What?
So I think, actually, I'm going to take that part out. What I will say is I think baseball, the bullpens, should be hidden. We should have no idea who's warming up. No one should know who's warming up in the bullpen. And then all of a sudden, someone comes in and says, all right, you got to adapt.
Theme song. I'm still on board with the wrestling
golly, that's
theme
Justin
song.
Martinez's music. See him coming out, blowing on his hand.
Yeah.
That would be sick. Anywho.
I love it. Can we also factor in that I don't have to tell you when I took someone off of the IL until after the game, so that way it could be a surprise if someone's back from the IL and coming into the game. But then afterwards, we're like, okay, we did make a corresponding roster move. We did submit it before the game. You, as the opposition, were just not allowed to know that Justin Martinez was back. I don't know.
Jet lag brain.
We're getting something here. We're on to something. But we're gonna take one more break real fast, and then we are going to talk about the NL West. or the NL West and where the Diamondbacks currently stand, and also some of this trade deadline chatter, which I don't want to have any part of, but we're going to be unfortunately forced into that discourse for sure. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. Don't you guys go anywhere. Well, Pure Edibles was founded right here in Arizona, and it is a great way to get a great night's sleep or change your mood. They have a wide variety of candies as well as doses and strains that you can choose from. Of course, Pure is a full-fledged candy company. They offer gummies, they offer kicks, which are like their Starbursts, chews, hard candies, and more. They also offer uplifting effects, sativas, indicas. They have a sleep edition gummy. All of this stuff is clearly listed on each tin, so you know exactly what you're getting, what effects for you to expect. And of course, it's a local company that was created in Flagstaff, Arizona at Noble Herb Dispensary, the home of Pure Edibles, and is now made right here in Phoenix. Pure gummies are designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them easily shareable or easy to dial in your exact dose. So go find yourself some Pure Edibles from one of their of over 130 dispensaries right here in Arizona, and tell them the mayor sent you. They'll know. They send me stuff all the time. They're like, that guy's always bothering us for product. Speaking of bothering people for free things, Monarch Money will help you take care of the not free stuff. And that's because finances can be messy, and more importantly, finances can be all over the place. You have your bank accounts, you have your investments. In some cases, you have additional accounts, and Monarch Money helps you put all of those accounts in one place. You can see all of your finances there. It's more than an average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. And the goals part is the most important. Monarch Money helps you not just save money, they start helping you earn towards your financial goals, whatever those goals are. You can track your spending, savings, and investments effortlessly so you can focus on what matters most, making your biggest life goals a reality. It was named Wall Street Journal's Best Budgeting App of 2025 and is the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHNX at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHNX. Well, let's take a look at the NL West. We call it the drunken orgy of violence around here, but the NL West standings, because of course the Dodgers, they can't seem to beat the Brewers team, it feels like, and
they're good.
They're a good team.
Brewers can play.
A lot of discourse over the Miz.
The Miz.
Yeah,
Which
right.
one?
Getting into the All-Star game, the one from the Milwaukee Brewers,
okay,
of course. But I like that kind of stuff is so silly to me. I love when a breakout star happens in baseball, and
I'm sorry, that's a great graphic.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Not only is it the NL West, but we also have the infinity sign there for the Rockies, because we're not going to do that.
Good job, Damon.
We're not going to calculate.
Good job, Damon.
Okay?
Dalton, if you want to really know, kind of just transform into my life, I literally just didn't want to go through doing the math of having to go through the Rockies games back, and just said, you know what?
And quite frankly, why should he?
What's the point?
What's the point? I don't know.
So you're telling me they're out?
Yeah,
they've been out for a month and a half since I retook over this show and declared them eliminated.
I mean, they're on pace to lose 135 games, I still believe. I don't even know.
Going for history.
Going for history. Well,
going for history.
The D-backs, they're just mediocre right now, sitting at 48-50. They are 10 games back in the division, which still feels like the way this team has been playing, like it should be way more than that. Dodgers are not running away with the division right now as it stands, but they still have a pretty decent lead there at 58-40. The Padres, they have a wild card position currently. They are at 53-44. They're 4.5 games back in the division. Giants, meanwhile, 52-46. They're 6 games back in the division, 1 game back in the wild card. Meanwhile, the Diamondbacks, the most important stat, is 5.5 back in the wild card. I hate that. I don't want to be this far back, because it's not just the games back, but it's still the number of teams that sit in between them and the wild card, which makes it so much harder for anybody to make a case for this team to be buyers at the trade deadline. I really feel like the only case you can make is that this team's offense is very, very good, and it would be a waste to not try to do something to bolster this bullpen and make this team a complete team to go on a run, and again, I know that there's a lot of different ways that they could do this. I know that they don't necessarily have to approach the trade deadline as a buyer or seller, right? It can just be more about trying to make the right move that makes sense for you while at the same time, you know, moving some assets that most likely are not going to be a part of this team after this season ends. However, I still have a really hard time figuring out what the hell they're going to do if they move Zach Gallen or Merrill Kelly. I don't know. And the only answer would be that they would receive some sort of pitching in return that would be major league quality starting pitching, which seems like an unlikely deal to be made.
I would say in terms of let's just say current state of the Diamondbacks, right? Current state of baseball. If we are near the deadline, if the deadline was tomorrow, what I think the Diamondbacks would do and what position they're in, I think they'd be sellers, but retooling sellers. And by that, I mean, I don't think they're going to give up any controllable players, because I do think this team is a competitive team for 2026, even with Burns, J-Mart, and Puck most likely to miss the majority, if not the entire season in 2026. But that said, I do think it's a good time to move off of the guys who are free agents, the rentals, if you will, for potential buying teams. I do think it's one of Gallen or Kelly to be traded. I don't think both, because like you alluded to, I do not think they have the pitching to get through the season by trading both. And I personally think there is a Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly conundrum a little bit. And by that, Zach Gallen has had his worst season as a pro. He has been such an amazing pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks up into this year. So the two trains of thought for Zach Gallen, which I don't think anyone has really talked about, it's number one, do you trade him for some sort of compensation and prospects? Number two, do you hold on to him and offer him the qualifying offer? And then that leads to another two choices of A, if you offer him the qualifying offer, is he going to take the roughly $21 million for the next year and hope that he rebounds and then he can make a bigger bag, if you will, a bigger contract in the following offseason? Or number two, does he turn down the qualifying offer, get his contract somewhere else, and the Diamondbacks get a compensation pick for the 2026 MLB draft? There's a lot of questions for this team. I think Zach Gallen's going to be the biggest question mark. I think Geno Suarez is the biggest prize potentially available amongst all major league players. Third baseman who's hit 31 home runs this season. I think the Diamondbacks have a lot of players to move Derek if they want to.
Everybody loves Geno, and I know that Josh Naylor is also a guy that they are getting calls on. In fact, according to a report from Bob Nightingale, the Diamondbacks are taking calls on all these guys now. They're taking calls,
which they should.
They should.
Doesn't mean you should make a move, but you should take these calls.
You're right, and that's the biggest thing here is that I don't know what they do without Gallen and Kelly. Meanwhile, as much as it would pain me, because I love Geno Suarez. Happy birthday, Geno.
Happy birthday, Geno.
But what I will say is that he and Naylor make a lot of sense because of players that the Diamondbacks have in their system that are ready, that could play. Blaze Alexander would make a great third baseman over there. And Jordan Lawler obviously is a guy that a lot of people, if he's healthy, and you know, a lot of fans have wanted to see get that opportunity at first baseman. You got Tristan English. You have other options. James McCann has been taking ground balls over at first base, so we're going to see him get that opportunity again. There's another guy that's going to. I mean, you just feel like they're just trying to figure out ways with McCann to not dump him the minute that Gabby returns, which we have no idea when that's going to be, because Gabby was just transferred to the 60-day IL today as part of those roster moves that were made, which isn't the worst thing because it's still retroactive to when he was originally put on. So I believe this makes Gabby available like in the middle of August.
Right.
They said he is resuming baseball activities, but up to this point,
he wouldn't have been back before that.
Right, he wouldn't have been back before then. Up to this point, apparently, he hasn't even been able to grip a baseball or grip a bat. So that's important. That just goes to show how far away he probably still is from being ready, right? So, but they have to think going forward. How do they make James McCann, more well-rounded so that they can use him in more ways, right? And
there's a young left-handed batter who's got a really good bat that could potentially be young enough to learn a new position. And that's not really a great defensive catcher to begin with. If only they're
spitballing.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. But I will say that overall here, as Candace is alluding to, of course, I'm going towards Geno, because if Geno's not a part of this team and he hits 40 home runs, I don't have to dye my beard teal, which is a stupid bet I made earlier in the season. It started out at 50 home runs, and then he struggled after that hot start, and then I was like, oh, how about 40? I'll knock it down to 40. So if Geno hits 40 home runs, I have to dye this stupid beard
What was the
teal.
exact wording of that bet?
Oof. What do you mean? Like what happened?
Did you say 40 home runs with the Diamondbacks or 40 home runs for the season?
No.
This guy gets it. This guy gets it because I never said either of those things.
He didn't specify, but since he's tried to really put his foot down and be like, it has to be in the Diamondbacks uniform.
That's who I cover, is the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's who I cover. That's who I cover, is the Diamondbacks.
It would hurt so bad to dye your beard teal and Gino's playing for like the Yankees.
Yeah, it would.
Oh, don't.
See, he's right.
You know
he's right. I'm supposed to do that. You want that?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
want,
I didn't think you wanted that. I didn't think any of you wanted that.
Straight beard.
Do you know how much I've heard Gino Suarez to the Yankees?
Oh,
do you know?
It's nauseating.
You probably can't.
I wonder why.
Walk into your office without people talking your ear off about it.
Especially on a night tonight, like when the Yankees lost to the Braves the way that they did, right? And like I imagine that's just Gino would fix everything for them, right?
Oh, do you want Oswaldo Peraza?
Yeah.
Or Oswald Peraza?
No, we don't.
Sorry.
Anyway.
I will say, if we're talking fits, I do think we're going to sell. I think if we're a buyer or seller, I do think it's more likely to be a selling team than a buying team. If they go on a run, I'm pumped. I'm ecstatic. That's awesome. I think the most likely option is if you're going to do it, trade the rentals. Like Josh Naylor to the Mariners, Gino to the Yankees, Gallen to like maybe the Mets, and then get your haul, get your prospects, and then retool for 2026.
Yeah. The thing with Gallen is it's such a weird thing because all the scenarios you laid out are they make sense as they make sense that they could go this way, they could go that way.
There's so many different avenues.
I still believe deep down in my heart, just like that, I think that the Diamondbacks will get solid trade offers for Gallen because of how teams feel about him. They don't care about what his ERA this year. They just think, well, if he's on our team, he's going to be the Zach Gallen of old. Not to mention, we don't need him to be the ace on this team. We have an ace. We just need Zach Gallen to be a number 2 and number 3 guy and feel fine in that role. Maybe without the pressure of being the ace, maybe Zach Gallen is better for that team. We've seen him perform inexplicably well in big markets and in big games, right? So like maybe he does go to a team like the Mets or the Yankees and suddenly is what he was for this team at one time. We've seen him be that throughout the year, so it wouldn't surprise me at all that he would be able to put it together just consistently. That's all that's really been missing for Zach is consistency, not necessarily still seeing glimpses of how good he can be, which we've seen all year long. But I will say that Gallen presents the most interesting scenario.
Yes.
I still feel like Merrill Kelly could be a situation where the Diamondbacks trade him and then still bring him back as a free agent.
They do like the Aroldis Chapman kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I think
I agree with that too.
I think of all 4 guys that Kelly would be the
most
one
likely to come back.
Right. He would be the
That's why I love you, Derek.
Right. Well, because he's a Valley guy, right?
Yes.
And again, there's something to be said about how when you get to that point in your career and the age that Kelly is, that just staying in a place that you like and is comfortable rather than going somewhere else and dealing with a whole new bag of crap, you know, that might be what he's into. Plus it would help the organization for him to be traded, to receive something in compensation for him, and then for him to come back and still pitch for this team after the season is over. But
I will add that
Gallen, I just don't see that happen.
I know you guys were at the ballpark when Jerry was mic'd up during the game. He mentioned in particular about Gino. We all know Gino wants to stay here in Arizona, guys, and specifically went out of his way to say how like they think that, you know, they have what it takes to put up a good record here before the trade deadline. But in particular was saying that like Gino wanted to stay in Arizona. So I could see a similar scenario with Gino or Merrill, honestly.
Well, because it comes down to the guys you're around and being, especially like, honestly, there's plenty of cities that embrace Hispanic culture in Major League Baseball. But again, this is one of them. This is one of the biggest markets as far as embracing our Hispanic culture. I mean, tonight up on the board when the Diamondbacks offense was rolling, you saw it, they're saying Vamos D-backs, right? Which I was like, come on, let's just go all in and say Vamos Serpientes while we're at it, right? Like, what are we doing, D-backs? But I get it, and I know why they were doing it. And speaking of Domo, we do have video of him that we haven't shown you yet of him talking about this team still having life. This is what Perdomo had to say.
Amazing for us, you know. This is really pretty good ball club, and just show to everyone, like, you know, we still have some life. Life, when I say life, is mean, you know, everybody know about, people worry about asking about trade and all that shit, but whatever, we just go there and try to get the W every single day.
That's why I got this little frog tattoo, my little frog domo right here. Not only he gives me courage. That's what he does. He's close. He's pointing towards my chest to remind me that I'm capable of good things in life.
You can do anything.
But let me tell you, man, I mean, it's got to be frustrating because so much of this team is still going to be here. So much of this team is going to be together fighting next year. It's got to be tough to hear, all of this trade talk, all of this season is over talk, and you're in the month of July. You're still, you just broke into the second half of the season. I still feel like this team isn't the kind of team to roll over and die. I still feel like they have that ability to do what the Tigers did last year. And I've talked about that probably far too many times on this show, but just the idea where the Diamondbacks could potentially trade away some names or some players that would be seen as kind of waving the white flag, but still finding a way to be competitive and surprise some people and maybe even make the playoffs.
The resiliency, like we've mentioned about this team being super resilient, this is the time to prove it. And I wanted to pull up the schedule to make sure I had the team right, because I remember July was a daunting month for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Sure.
The remaining schedule, they have 2 more versus the Cardinals. They have 3 versus Houston. They have 3 at Pittsburgh, and then they have 3 at Detroit. So let's see, do math here. 8 of the last 11 games before the deadline are versus winning teams.
Yeah.
It is going to be tough. And if the Diamondbacks win, let's say 8 of those games, you put yourself in a way better spot, then you can buy again. But they have to go on a run, and it's right now. As Mary J. Blige once said, it's now or never. And if they don't do it now, they're never going to win this year. They're going to sell.
I love that you just quoted Mary J. Blige. That's probably my favorite part of this show. But definitely love the fact that, again, that they're not dead. And it might not be enough to drastically convince ownership and Mike Hazen and the front office to change their approach and suddenly go full buyer or whatever, right? But you do feel like this team does still have one last chance to make a good impression and honestly to, I guess, start believing in themselves. Like Torey talked about it the other day. He talked about, how last year in July they went on this really big winning streak, and he said that the biggest difference was that they were coming into that locker room not hoping things go their way, but knowing that they could make them go their way. And in him saying that, it very much does not feel like this team is doing that right now. Does not sound like they're coming into the clubhouse knowing they can win. It's almost like they're just hoping that they can win. And I mean, that seems to be, if you want to talk about things that might be the fault of Torey Lovullo, that's probably the one thing, because I feel like he as a manager has the ability to have an impact on that mindset and make these guys come in every day believing that they can win these games instead of hoping that they can win games.
And part of it, I hate harping on it. I kind of don't. The bullpen, like we've seen times where this Diamondbacks team, this offense produces, you might get a decent outing from one of the pitchers in the rotation, and the bullpen falters, and it's just deflating. You have a 2-run lead, you have a 3-run lead, and all of a sudden it evaporates and it's gone. It gets to a point where you have too many of those losses where it's like you do not feel comfortable in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning because you've seen this song and dance before, and you want to hope that your teammates can execute on the back end in that bullpen, but it hasn't happened. And I think you're right. Like, I think Torey does get some gruff for some things that it's out of his control.
Lots of things.
And you know what? I think he's done a really good job navigating the ship and keeping the Diamondbacks as close to on track as possible. But as you said, that is my opinion. Like a manager, your biggest impact on the game outside of decision-making within the game is controlling the mindset and the motions within the game and in the locker room specifically. Yeah. So if your mindset is you hope to win, that's a problem. You should be going into the game every day expecting to win and wanting nothing less.
And we've talked about Torey being a great guy and a very open manager, like very, very open person. Forget being a manager, just as a person, he says what's on his mind, talks about how his feelings were in situations and all that. And that might be a thing that people perceive him to be soft, or
which is not.
It's not.
I'm going to put that out there. No, it's not by any means.
It's actually one of my favorite qualities about him. However, there's also the other side of him, the we're connected and we're dangerous and we're going to drop 90 F-bombs now for the rest of this, sentence, right? Like there is a side that this team kind of needs an edge. And I think that maybe Torrey, when he's going through what this team is going through this year, he's not able to provide it because he himself as a manager is a bit lost. And he himself has that, I hope we win attitude instead of coming in there and being like, we're going to effing win this game today, right? And I don't know. I mean, it's the reason why I love Tommy Pham so much, but it's also a reason why I feel like the clubhouse needs a Tommy Pham, because this particular clubhouse needs a guy like James McCann who's going to look at Zach Gallen in the face and say, I hated hitting off you. You're good, dude. And like just telling someone how good they are, And I mean, again, that edge and that mentality usually comes from veteran players and from the manager. And I think that Torrey needs to go in there and tell these guys, maybe start throwing some curse words around and maybe start getting them fired up in a positive way. Maybe not like blaming them or getting, unnecessarily down on them, but start going in there and just motivating these guys to throw all of this crap out the door and just go out there and win some baseball games.
Bannister comes in and says something too, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I could see him.
I want to see Bannister hit a water bottle with a baseball bat. That's what I want to see him hit. I just need that in my life because I feel like that would be an amazing sight to see. But what's an amazing sight to see truly is you here at Chase Field, you here in our studio. I appreciate you, brother.
Oh, you're the man. Come on now.
Thank you so much for coming in here. Of course, you make sure to follow him. He is at D Feely. Is it 14?
Bang. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure I didn't mess that one up, but you make sure to follow him. Make sure to follow Jomboy Media because they are the GOATs and we love everything they do. We really do. We try our best to follow in the footsteps of what you guys do because you guys, just like we do, try to make this game more fun and make watching this game more fun. You guys do a great job of that. But appreciate you guys for watching us. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. But as always, make sure to follow Damon. He's the most important one of us all to follow. He's at Damon Dog with a DAWG. We are all Damon's dogs. Bark, bark. There you go. That was they always do the barking better than I do. But we appreciate you guys, of course. Thank you to all of you, Emily, Sean, Candace, Scott. We appreciate you guys for being here live in the chat tonight. You can follow our show at PHNX_DBacks if you don't already. We'd love you to do so. I think we're like a handful of people away from 14,000 followers, and that's a big milestone for us. Of course, also make sure, as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you again for your time. Appreciate you guys hanging in there with us tonight. I love that the quote down at the bottom says, "We have life." I don't know how much I believe that, but I would like to believe that.
It's in quotes.
It is in quotes. So that's the truth. But hey, we appreciate you guys.
It's good to have you back, Derek. I will go ahead and say that as much fun as we had in your absence. And by the way, I will say I did write down all of the people's names who are in the chat here who may have been absent when you were absent because
taking attendance
feels a little bit personal.
I know how that is. Yeah,
feels a little bit personal.
Right. Yeah,
but that being said, it's great to have you back, Derek, and it's time to go on a run here.
I appreciate you, brother, and thank you, Damon. You did an excellent job. I got to give a shout out to Damon, Kevin, of course. Even though he doesn't necessarily we didn't want Kevin here for a Cardinals series, that's for sure. But thank you to Kevin. Yeah, he's a big Cardinals fan. Big bad. I
saw the agreement.
Bad guy. Yeah, you know about the Circle K bet. Yeah, for sure. And Emma, by the way, my darling Emma, for all the social work she did for us. I thank you guys so much. It allowed me to take a real vacation and not be tweeting also on the side while I'm sitting on the beach. But I had a blast, and I do have a new little frog tattoo, so that's probably the best part of all this. But love you guys. Thank you guys so much. Scott asks if our bats will return tomorrow. I don't know the answer to that, honestly, because as good as their offense can look in one game, we know how things can drastically change for this team this season. But again, thank you guys for your time. We will see you on Monday. Dalton, unfortunately, he's here just for the weekend, but if we could keep him, we absolutely would. Thank him again for his time. Thank you guys for your time. We know it's your most valuable commodity, so thank you for sharing it with us. Of course, remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is far more fun when you win a game and you are undefeated after the All-Star break.
We all silly like the mayor.